Hi, folks, and welcome to the next book review in the Richard Lehman series. And we're on to book number, I think, 30 in this list. Hopefully, I haven't got that horribly wrong. And for book 30, I've debated this quite a bit because there's a couple of books, like I think I've said, that are quite close. But I've gone for Friday Night in Beast House, which was released initially in 2001, but then received another re-release in 2007, strangely enough. And this is seen as a kind of epilogue to the Beast House series that started off with The Cellar and ended with The Midnight Tour. Not going to speak about those books yet because they are higher up on this list. However, Friday Night in Beast House is set after The Beast House and before The Midnight Tour. It's a bit of a sort of an epilogue coda to the series, owing to the fact that it was the last one released. But it was kind of released to give fans of the series a bit more of the series and Richard Lehman in general. I honestly feel that Richard Lehman had at least one more full-length Beast House book planned that never saw light of day, just because of the way the previous one ended, and the fact that he felt it necessary to do Friday Night in Beast House as it is, not continuing the events of the Midnight Tour, but as a sort of in-between story, just focusing on a few characters. And it's a really slight book. The reason why this is in my list is because this has the same release. It's the same price as a full-length Richard Lehman novel. You can pick up a paperback copy of this as easy as most of his other paperback novels. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's released as if it is another novel, but it is a novella. It's a very, very small book. I mean, in terms of classifying this as a full-length novel, this is the shortest novel that Richard Lehman ever published, certainly under his own name as a hover book anyway, ignoring all the sort of young adult fiction and stuff and Western stuff he did and things. And it's a really odd one because it's a very slight book. But the reason why I've put this so low at number 30 is because, as with kind of No Sanctuary, there's not a lot of stuff going on here. It literally is kind of just a handful of characters. The main plot of this is you've got a guy who's in love with this girl, and she will date him if he can get her into Beast House. So he has to go onto the Beast House tour and then hide out in Beast House and then wait for nightfall to come and then let her in. And that's really the crux of the story. It's predominantly 80% this guy just hiding in this house. There's a few minor tense scenes in terms of noises he hears, a few bits where he's trying to get away from other tourists of this place, which is quite incredible that people are still taking these tours after everything that's gone on. You know, I know that the events of the Midnight Tour haven't happened yet with this one, but we've had two previous books where all sorts of carnage has happened at this place, and it's a miracle the place is still standing, yet alone still having tours. But people in Lehman's universe seem to forget very quickly that terrible things happened. But it really is just this guy hiding out in this house. He spends a large portion of it in a tunnel, trying to eat a sandwich and drink a drink. And it's weird as well because there's a lot of modern pop references here. Generally speaking, Richard Lehman doesn't date his books with lots of pop references or pop culture and stuff. But here we've got quite a few of them peppered in. There's a debate online as to a few people as to whether Richard Lehman actually wrote this, owing to the fact that he never did that in other books. I think this is definitely Richard Lehman. It reads just like his other stuff. It's got his language, his dialogue, his mannerisms and Lehmanisms and things are all here. And I believe, although it's going back a long time, one of the last online posts on his website had him discussing this. This is prior to his death, obviously, discussing the release as something he wanted to get out there just to keep the Beast House series fresh in people's minds. Because, like I say, I think he was generally planning to do one more Beast House book. They were always successful. They were always popular. I think he had plans for the series going forwards. The ending of this book does involve the beast and some pretty far out layman sex stuff. It reminds me of another book. There's a book called Dark Mountain, which I'll get to later because it's a pretty good book, which has a scene in it that stuck with me. I think Layman meant it as a scene of tenderness and human emotion, but it came across as incredibly icky and weird, and it plays out almost exactly the same at the end of this, where something happens and then we have bizarre teen and boy sex fantasy after that. In real life, it just wouldn't take place. It's the very definition of sloppy seconds. Really sort of gross, but also kind of weird and Layman-esque. Very out there, but it's not. It's an okay book. It's just a very very slight book where very little happens, which is why it's so low on the list. It's just like a little sort of novella masquerading as a novel about Beast House. And if you've not read the rest of the books, you won't want to read this because it won't make any sense. And if you have, it's just a little addition, unnecessary, pointless perhaps even, but certainly not awful. Which is why at number 30 on the list.